What's going on, everyone? So we have a new filing to talk about. It's DTC 2021-016. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this is all about. So the title of this is to make certain revisions and clarifications to rules. I know, vague. Now, filed and effective immediately? No, filed yesterday. Let's go ahead and take a look. So the purpose of this, DTC is proposing amendments that would clarify, simplify, and improve the disclosures and the rules primarily related to onboarding and other membership documentation between DTC and its participants. DTC, along with its affiliates, the National Securities Clearing Corporation and Fixed Income Clearing Corporation, has recently completed a review of the templates of onboarding agreements and other documents that are provided to DTC in connection with the firm's application for membership, and the templates of agreements and documents participants may provide to DTC during the course of their membership pursuant to the rules. In connection with this review, DTC is proposing to make certain revisions and clarifications to the rules. More specifically, the proposed rule change would, number one, they're doing four major things. Number one, to incorporate into the rules the governing law of agreements and other documents provided to DTC pursuant to the rules. Number two, to incorporate in the rules the affirmative undertakings that participants currently make in onboarding membership agreements. Number three, clarify that participants shall appoint a duly authorized representative in connection with their membership and remove the requirement that DTC approve the form of power of attorney or resolutions of the participants' board of directors that evidences such authorization. And lastly, to clarify DTC's ability to rely on electronic signatures on agreements and other documents provided to DTC pursuant to the rules as described in greater detail below. Proposed revisions to the rules regarding governing law. DTC is proposing to revise Section 4 of Rule 1. Definitions, governing law, which currently states that the rules are governed by New York law. The proposed change would revise Section 4 of Rule 1 to include a statement that agreements and other documents that are entered into between DTC and its participants are also governed by New York law unless otherwise expressly provided. Currently, agreements and other documents entered into between DTC and its participants either include a governing law provision or are governed by New York law through the application of both Section 4 of Rule 1, which provides that the rights and obligations under the rules are governed by New York law, and the DTC membership agreements, which provide that the rules, including Section 4 of Rule 1, govern the matters and transactions between DTC and its participants. Interesting loophole. So they get out of the law because they don't have to follow it because they're in an agreement with DTC? That's what I'm reading here. If only there was a lawyer in the community to help us read these things, right? Anyways, this proposed change would both clarify the governing law of the agreements and other documents entered into between DTC and its participants pursuant to the rules and will allow DTC to simplify those documents by removing the governing law provisions in such documents. Now, the proposed revisions to incorporate participant undertakings into the rules. DTC is proposing to revise Section 1 of Rule 2, which is participants and pledgees, to incorporate affirmative undertakings that participants currently make in their onboarding membership agreements. This section currently provides that an applicant for membership with DTC shall sign and deliver to DTC an agreement under which the applicant would agree to the affirmative undertakings that are listed in Section 1 of Rule 2. These undertakings include, for example, to abide by the rules and be bound by all the provisions thereof, and to pay any amounts that become payable by the participant to DTC pursuant to the rules. By the way, the super notes, in case you're wondering, they're worthless. Now, to simplify and standardize the membership onboarding documentation, DTC is proposing to revise Section 1 of Rule 2 to state directly that participants agree to each of the following undertakings listed in that section. DTC would also make an identical revision to Rule 9D, which is settling banks, regarding undertakings of settling banks. In connection with this proposed change, DTC would remove these undertakings from the template membership agreement, which already provides that participants are bound by the rules. Now, proposed revisions to requirements related to participants' authorized representatives. DTC is proposing to revise Sections 1 and 2 of Rule 7, which is participant representatives, which describes participants' requirement to appoint an authorized representative in connection with their membership to DTC. Currently, Section 1 of Rule 7 provides that a participant may designate an authorized representative that is not either a general partner or an officer of the participant, by either a power of attorney or resolutions of the participant's board of directors, and requires such power of attorney and resolutions be in a form approved by DTC. Section 2 of Rule 7 requires participants to provide DTC with the signatures of individuals who are authorized representatives for purposes of conducting business with DTC. In order to simplify the onboarding membership requirements, DTC is proposing to amend Section 1 of Rule 7 to clarify that a participant's representative must be duly appointed and authorized. The fact that they weren't before is insane. And also to remove references to a power of attorney or resolutions of the participant's board of directors. The proposed change would also remove the requirement that DTC approve the form of power of attorney or resolutions of the participant's board of directors that evidences the due authorization of that representative. Now, lastly, we have the proposed revisions to rules regarding DTC's reliance on electronic signatures. DTC is proposing to revise Rule 26, which is currently entitled Facsimile Signatures, or Facsimile, it's pronounced facsimile signatures, and lists the circumstances in which DTC would rely on electronic signature. The proposed revision to the Rule 26 would rename the rule to remove the word facsimile and would also revise the rule to clarify that DTC may rely on electronic signature with respect to any and all agreements and other documents delivered pursuant to the rules. That sounds like it can be fraudulent. The DTC would also remove reference to circumstances in which it would accept an electronic signature to make clear that DTC would do so in any circumstances. Now, the proposed revisions would clarify and modernize the language in Rule 26, which still refers to outdated modes of electronic communication, such as telex, and would align the language in this rule to language used in the New York Electronic Signatures and Records Act. In essence, the proposed changes would make clarifications to the rules regarding, number 1, participants' duly authorized representatives in connection with their memberships, number 2, DTC's ability to rely on electronic signatures on agreements and other documents provided to its pursuant to the rules, and then the proposed changes would also update the rules in order to allow DTC to simplify the onboarding and other membership agreements and documents by incorporating in the rules the governing law of agreements and other documents provided to DTC pursuant to the rules, and lastly, the affirmative undertakings that participants currently make in onboarding membership agreements. Now, Exhibit 3, this is the revised templates of participant agreement and pledgee agreement. This shit should be juicy. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it's redacted. Oh well, what are you going to do? I was excited to read that, but it's redacted, so anyways, have a good one.